Hi everyone, back again as promised. I just gonna wait a few minutes for everybody to come on board. Anyhow, today I was gonna talk about narcissistic men and women, and most of the time the issues started in childhood during the formative years, in especially the earliest years, between age up until age 18 months. That's 1 year and 6 months. It's how the child trusted the caregiver to meet his or her needs. And some moms were not available to their children, to their babies, based on certain factors, socioeconomic status, the ability to maintain the child, the unwanted pregnancy. Several factors go in place to determine how the mother treats the baby, or whoever the caregiver is for the baby. Are they there on time? When the baby cries, do they understand the baby's cry? When the baby is wet, when the baby is hungry, when the baby wants affection, comfort, all of those factors tie into the child forming an impression of their environment. And that's where narcissism begins. The mother or father or the caregiver was inattentive to meeting the child's needs consistently. And the child learned that they were in a harsh environment, they were surviving, and especially when there is no tenderness and comfort and care and nurturance, the child doesn't develop normally, internally, in their psychology. And the child grows up to be the narcissist. Everything is about them. They're always mitigating their environment and trying to meet those unmet needs that they were deprived of as babies from everybody else. And it engenders a sense of entitlement. It engenders a sense of rogueness and everything birthed out of deprivation. Deprivation, not given the proper care, food, cleanliness, comfort, being raised in an environment of discomfort. And some people believe, especially those who don't have children, that it's okay, you should completely control your child. If they're in your presence, and, the child is not behaving like an adult, they're upset. They have unrealistic expectations about children being adults and children being able to rationalize the same way an adult does, and children having the ability to read their minds. Not setting proper boundaries, appropriate boundaries, age-appropriate boundaries for children. That's that issue they have with children. They don't like children. Many adults who do not have children do not like children. You'll find that. Many adults who do have children, some of them don't like their children. They consider their children to be a burden. And some are able to adapt. They're able to love their children and nurture and accept the responsibility of having children. Well, the narcissistic father is not very good at that. The narcissistic father is upset when the mother nurtures a child and does not nurture him. He comes first. He is at the top of the line for having his needs met, even though he's an adult and he can meet his own needs. He must come before that baby. There's a tremendous amount of jealousy that the narcissistic father experiences when he watches the mother of his own child nurturing and caring for that child. And he develops, all types of hatreds and attitudes and all of that to, take back that attention. It's very attention-seeking, the narcissistic father. And narcissistic men in general behave that way, and women. I'm not going to try and create a gender war where one doesn't exist. So there are narcissistic women, and there, of course, I talk a lot about misogynist adults who hate women, and those adults can be men or women. So technically, the narcissistic man is a boy. He has not learned to meet his own needs. He can't do so without exploiting somebody else to get those needs met. He's too entitled to work like everybody else, to meet his own needs like everybody else. He's just all about himself. Okay? And deep inside, nursing these wounds that mommy created or daddy created, or somebody did something to him, he's injured. Okay? And then here comes Freemasonry. Here comes Fathers Rights Movement. They are attempting to meet these needs of these men, or quote-unquote boys. It's an attempt to affiliate and be nurtured and comforted. Okay? And it's unnatural. It's unnatural. Because that person, male or female, who is narcissistic, they're not going to have those needs met in that manner. And they've never really learned to love. They've never really developed a core personality, a core self. So, they're basically products of their environment, and they keep producing from their environment. You will know a narcissist is in your presence when, for example, they're among different types of people and they're adjusting themselves to meet the different groups that may be in one room. For example, I know my children asked me at one time, why does daddy have a different accent for different people that he speaks with? And I was like, oh my God, I never realized that before. If he was among African Americans, he's speaking Ebonics. If he's among Haitians or Jamaicans or other Caribbean, he's speaking that. If he's among Americans, he's speaking, you know what I mean? It's just not a core, settled, stabilized self. It doesn't exist. And some of the things I saw on Facebook today, a live feed that I just posted actually, the gentleman spoke about, oh my goodness, taking, about a cop, I think, being brutal, and, he mentioned PTSD, and there are a lot of people running around with untreated PTSD, and the narcissistic injury is technically PTSD as well. You know, it's like they're always counting and accumulating the injury they have sustained from other people, and they have developed a method of dealing with these people. And God help you if you're one of them that injured them. So another thing I wanted to mention is that ties into the us versus them paradigm, because those of us who weren't traumatized, and those of us who had loving parents and mothers and fathers, and you know, it's like us against the narcissist who never had that. And there are more of them than there are more of us. So I'm going to segue into this whole thing about being married to one and dealing with one, and how, you know, they manage to blame you for everything. Hi, Andrea. Happy to see you too. Hello, everybody. And you can tell when they're, for example, even into other relationships, you can tell when your narcissistic partner is in an affair during a marriage, because they start to bring home the personality traits of their affair partner. And you'll notice a difference in their behavior. The difference in the way they speak, the difference in the way they walk, it's just incredible. You know, how the demarcations exist. It's just that we're not aware, because most of us are somewhat innocent. And let me tell you, that's why we're hated by them so much. It's as if they hate the fact that there's a part of us that's incorruptible. Andrea and I had a little talk about that the other day. We cannot be exploited and denigrated to the point where we lose all of our innocence. There's a certain part of us that will remain innocent, that they cannot change or touch, and they are very disturbed by that, and it will be their life duty to change that about you and make you like them. Their goal is to make you like them, to make you suffer like them, to make you need the way they need, to make you need nurturance, to make you need food, shelter, clothing, the way they needed it. And the only way to deal with them, of course, is to be tough, actually. You gotta be tough, and you gotta pull from your internal constructs to determine, you know, where you are with them at all times. You have to mitigate your safety. You have to manage yourself, conduct yourself in a way that you're always protected, because they can be dangerous. They have no limits. If they can't directly harm you, they will send someone to do it. That type of thing. And they can even try to harm you by putting things in your food, in your drinks, in your coffee. They are very dangerous, mostly when they're about to be exposed, and when they've been found out about, most of the time, living a double or triple life. They cannot function well in stability. They do not function well with stability or consistency. They need to always live in a state of chaos. And Yes, Andrea. They morph into the new partner. That's exactly right. Going back a little bit, yeah, it is creepy. It's very creepy, and you can tell how many different partners. If they had an argument with their affair partner, they will come home and take that out on you and the children. They will resolve their anger on you and the children. And they expect that you won't ever figure it out. And if you do, you know, they'll even bring violence to you or attempt to do so. So, how does this whole thing with Fathers' Rights Movement come in? Well, they are a breeding ground, a catchment for narcissists. I remember when I first heard about the Fathers' Rights Movement, I Googled and I found their site. And I saw an attractive female lawyer's picture on there trying to give information on how to combat when a mother or a woman brings domestic violence charges or accusations or allegations against them. That was right there on the first page. The front page was advertising their workshop. So a year later, I checked their site again. It's gone now. After I went on Facebook and I tried to reach out to everybody who was going through the same thing I was going through, they started to modify. And I even actually, was part of their Facebook page. I kind of joined them for a short time just to see what their jargon was and how they presented themselves. And I took myself off. Because, there's this thing. One of the first ladies I ever communicated with, she already started her movement. And Adelis.co, whatever. And she was totally scared. She was completely scared because everyone she went to and every congressman, everybody was like, oh, as long as the schmeal is, against men, they're not going to listen to you. Here it is, this lady, her child is being sexually abused by the father. And no one does anything about it because it's a gender issue. And if you diss the man or the father, then you're not going to be heard. You must present yourself to the public and your cause and your purpose gender neutrally, when it's virtually impossible, especially when you're dealing with the narcissistic father. And narcissistic fathers, they don't have a qualm about being inappropriate, molesting their children. They don't have any, because they don't see the child as a human being. They don't see people as human beings. They see people as objects to meet their needs. People are used by narcissists, especially innocent people who are somewhat incorruptible. They want to change that. And that's why they've entered into our lives. That's why they're congregating in men's activist groups, Fathers' Rights Movement. It's a catchment for them. But see, here's the trick now in all of this. The same way they have created laws and clauses to laws and amendments, etc., to family court laws, and they have identified us mothers, is the same way. If we went through the registry of Freemasons, the registry of fathers' rights activists, the registry of fathers' rights movement members, we've also identified them. Do you see the equal and opposite effect that has had? We don't have to be, always under the rug, always scared. We know who they are as much as they know who we are. And I'm not trying to start a fight. Never. I never think that a fight is a solution. But here it is, I'm guaranteeing you 90% of us felt that we could have had an amicable divorce. And we could have had an amicable distribution of assets. Everything. And that was a fantasy. And that's wrong. I will state it very clearly. I'll pass judgment. What they have done is completely unacceptable. And I've said that before. I don't understand. Oh, sticking a pin, sorry. My, for example, ex-husband is supposed to probably get married again soon. And I've got to tell you this about your ex-partners, ladies. Those of you who are divorced, or those of you who are going through the divorce process. We separated from these narcissistic fathers of our children because we're done. We're done trying to wear ourselves out, nurturing these people that their nurturing quotient is a bottomless pit. Okay? And it will boil down to end up nurturing them to the point where you no longer nurture yourself, and your children are like partially nurtured just to meet their 100% needs for nurturing. They will remarry just to keep up a facade that they've moved on. But no, the narcissistic injury that you caused in their minds has been done. It won't be the end of their expecting to extract the last drop of blood or the last ounce of flesh from you for, extracting yourself from their life. Okay? Anyhow, that's just the basics. I didn't even touch on object constancy, although, I'm not using the psychology terms, but I'm conveying the idea on, layman's level so that everybody understands what I'm trying to tell them, and they'll be able to apply whatever they can to their situation and be, at least a smidgen smarter in knowing how to deal with these men. And, I could have easily let myself go. And I did at some points. And I had to reharness my strength and my desire to start nurturing me. And that's the thought I'm going to leave you with today. I'm going to stream some more tomorrow in reference to the theme that I presented today about the Fathers Rights Movement and the men's rights activists and the narcissistic male. Thank you so much for coming and sharing this moment with me. I am grateful. Take care. Wait, Andrea. They hate that we can be happy and do anything. They try to do anything to snuff out our happiness and humanness. That's, you stated it perfectly. Thank you. Ladies, you need to know that. And you need to apply the information you receive here for yourself and your self-care. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.